All right.
no.
Here we are.
Mm.
You got the yawns, man?
I do have the yawns.
Aw.
Right when the camera came on.
The camera yawns. You know, the camera adds 3 yawns.
That's the old Hollywood phrase, isn't it?
Speaking of Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
So, Rob's about to jump into the smartphone pool.
Mm-hmm.
What are you most excited about? I mean, the dumb phone pool.
Freedom.
Freedom.
That's it, man.
They
Your
may take
stories
our
have been
phones.
your stories have been cool. Even driving when you drove down here without like a phone and you were just noticing like road signs and stuff.
You were so interested in street signs.
Yeah.
Is that Maine? Is this Central?
Whoa.
Is this Central?
Did we just
Oh, is
pass
that 4th
Broadway?
over there?
Oh my gosh.
Is that 4th on the other side of this road?
Hey, I don't know. You sound like an old person.
It's the blue line. That's what we're following.
Yeah. Yeah. We're the arrow. Okay, this is a blue line.
We're the circle with a triangle in it. The blue line is the way.
Now take me to where I want to go.
Take me to your taco.
Mm.
Yeah, you did love the signs.
Well, it's all you have. It's like I realized after I downgraded, I'm like, oh yeah, thank God they didn't get rid of the signs. Like, because I used to look at those.
How long
now I have to.
really do we have left with signs, though? That's the question.
I know. That's what's crazy.
That's
One thing I've noticed.
Crazy.
One thing I've noticed is that so I still have my iPhone I use for some things and carry it in my backpack usually. Plus, it's got all my contacts in it. So if somebody calls or texts from a number I don't have in my new phone, I check it on that. But every once in a while, I'll be like, oh, I need to go to this place. So I'm just going to look it up real quick on my iPhone and then just like mentally map it. But I don't know if it's the screen or whatever. For some reason, the app doesn't put a lot of the street names. They just draw the line. And then you're like, I'm zooming in like, okay, what highway is that? Or what street is that? And it won't say. Which is really, really annoying. But then I go on my laptop and it says all the streets. But I'm just like, this is not for mentally map. This is not for looking ahead to how do you get here. This is only for navigating.
I would say, I was thinking back, and my last experience really without having a smartphone, because I guess I'm planning on using the phone just like if I need it, I think I'm hoping that's kind of what it will turn into. Like if I'm out somewhere or going somewhere, like I'll have my flip phone with me. And if I need to call somebody, I will, which I don't know. There's something to that. I've been thinking, honestly, it's been coming up in prayer a little bit and been thinking back to our Holy Land pilgrimage, which that would have been like 2017. And so I had my phone with me then, but had like data off because, you have to have an international package or something like that. And it was too expensive to do for that long when we were over there. But I don't know. Just the idea of like walking around and it's not being like, oh, you can never be on or off or anything like that, but just the notion, just that simple flip of like, or that switch to.
I say go with flip.
Let's go with flip. I think it's fitting on a couple areas. But there's just something. It's really simple, but just that notion of like, okay, I can use this if I need it.
Mm-hmm.
Versus like somehow this is in my brain to like let me know that it's still there.
Yeah. I recognize that like it's like a lot of things for me. That's fine for you. You can use it, but I know myself, and this thing, the flip phone, I'm in control of. It's a tool I use, whereas the smartphone, it was not. It was just something that like kind of would get a grip on me, and it was living in my pocket. And I find I leave behind so often. If I go to the gym, if I go pray my holy hour, go do anything where I'm just like, I wouldn't answer the phone right now anyway. So why am I carrying it? And if it's a text, the text will just pile up, and I'll answer them all at once when I'm done with this workout or holy hour or whatever conversation. But it just doesn't have the same mental grip on me, which that's the freedom you're talking about. Do you want to shout out Anne Marie?
Yeah, that Anne Marie, that was the line that got me to finally jump off the cliff. Anything for freedom.
And Anne Marie, if you switch to a dumb phone, please write in and let us know how it goes. Or we can have her on as a silent guest.
We could definitely have her on as a silent guest. That'd be great.
The last memory, well, dude, that's a good point about the Holy Land, that we didn't have phones. I don't think I really ever considered that.
That was some of the happiest days of my life, and we had no phones and no money.
We had so little money.
So little money, man. We had to
phones.
We planned for at least a couple weeks and pooled our money to buy a water heater that worked over there.
I forgot.
You mean like a kettle?
Yeah, a kettle. Because we brought one. Mm-hmm. That was the whole thing. We brought one and we thought we had a converter, but we didn't. And we blew the only 2 fuses we had. So then we lost our whole converter.
We tried it twice. Yeah, we failed twice. It was like that was all the money we had. It was like bypass. Well, you could make coffee in your room because we had a portable French press type deal.
Me and Scott did the same thing. We bought a kettle over there.
Oh man, dude. It was
coffee,
costly.
The coffee situation, that sucked over there.
We figured it out.
It was a mess.
It was a battle.
Did we?
Well, they put those seeds in it. Or what?
They did. Yeah. We could never figure out how to keep what were those things?
I don't know. But the language barrier, man. We would go into stores and like they kind of knew we meant business, they didn't know what we were saying, but they knew we wanted something specific, and they love to put those seeds in with the coffee.
They love them,
and
dude.
I
would have to watch the guy eventually, and he could see.
You mean like cardamom or something? They put it in with the grounds?
Yeah, is it? I can't remember if it is.
I think it's cardamom. It's kind of like this spice. It adds a little bit of like aromatic to the coffee.
Yeah, it's almost like cinnamony.
Yeah,
but it's very Arabic. Is like it just kind of has that flavor and smell to it.
Funny story, very quick about Matt Marshall, Father Matt Marshall. Do you know this story?
Baby. We always have time for a Matt Marshall story.
He maybe this is more funny if you know him, because he's kind of just an impulsive, he's super caring and kind guy, but he'll just do things that are kind of like, why did you just do that? And one of them, I think he was serving like a confirmation in his diocese. It was some big mass with lots of kids at it, and they were low on incense, and he had cardamom or something in the rectory or in the sacristy or something. And he's like, wow, this kind of like smells aromatic. Maybe it'll work. And he adds in a bunch of cardamom just to kind of like lace in the little bit of incense that there's left. And the bishop puts it on the charcoal in the back of the back of the church. He walks in, and it's just plumes of black, acrid smoke just like hanging over the congregation.
Gross,
and
dude.
People are coughing, and he just walks immediately up through the sanctuary into the sacristy and outside to dump it out. And people asking him at some seminary, like, what were people's reactions? Were they? He goes, the children were crying.
That does sound like something you would say. Oh my gosh.
Anyway, the seeds and the cardamom. So you had to keep them from putting it in the ground?
Yeah. And so we had the thing written out so that we could tell them. We tried to translate it for them. We took signs. And they still
took signs holding up as they were making our coffee.
Dude, smartphone, you have Google Translate. You could have done that.
It was a no phone situation. Mm-hmm. But the guy could see just the hint of crazy in my eyes. Like, put it in there. Do it. Do it today.
Dare you.
And so we would have to watch him, and he'd put in the beans and be like, yeah, good. And then he'd go to reach for the other stuff and be like, no, don't do that. Okay. Yes to this, no to that. But they would still sneak it in somehow. Man, We never figured that out. But the bigger point is that life without the phone there was, I think, added a lot. That was added a lot of richness to the trip that I never really considered before. And before that, like what you were saying, you leave your phone everywhere, Connor. Dude, in college, I would lose my phone. Like lose it, have to get a new phone. Lose.
Couple
like
times a year.
Like once a semester. Yeah, for various reasons. Usually,
because you were studying so hard.
Overstudy. I just leave them in different locations in the library.
Yeah, I get that.
Oh my gosh, yeah, just all those late nights in the library is exhausting, dude.
Speaking of the language barrier in the Holy Land, one of my favorite stories about this is that you know how there was really no way to do your laundry except go to a laundromat. So
there's another way.
Did you go to the river, Jordan or something?
Nope.
Anyways, I went to the laundromat and it was one of these like super cheap, just give them a garbage bag of your clothes and they give you a garbage bag back. And I went and picked it up a couple of days after I dropped it off, and I just said my name's Connor, and the woman looks on the shelf with all the bags and she pulls one down and gives it to me, and it just has like 3 Hebrew characters like on a card taped to the bag. And so I took it off and I asked someone on the street, I was like, can you tell me what this says? And she goes, Connor. And I was like, I don't know why that blows my mind. It's just like, I have no idea. It's just 3 lines, and that's how they wrote it. Like, I don't know if you just were to write down what like a Vietnamese guy said or a Polish guy said their name was in whatever you thought it sounded like in your language, and then do you get why that blows my mind? I don't know why.
Maybe it's just an early morning for you, man. Yeah, I don't know.
Sort of. I mean, I think I get it. I would be curious to see how you spell Mike or Michael in Hebrew.
Well,
I'm sure
that name I would expect to have a Hebrew, because it is Hebrew, Michael.
Right.
But my name is just like CNR. I think that was what she wrote. And
Connor.
Yeah.
Just the phonetic spelling.
That it would be in a different
alphabet.
A different, like it's a name that's not from that linguistic tradition, and it doesn't seem to have consonants, and that the laundromat lady and then this person on the street would both get it right with just this little amount of data. That's what was kind of crazy. I thought was cool.
Did it make you feel small in a good way or a bad way?
It made me feel very connected in a all right way.
All right. We're getting somewhere, dude. I am tempted to play the Our Life Was Harder Than Yours game. It's like you went to a laundromat and somebody did your laundry. Dude.
Kids these days, right?
Dude, back in my day, we had to do laundry in our sink, which we literally did.
All your laundry?
We did.
Outside of Jerusalem, we went to a laundromat and I did my own laundry. Thank you very much. And actually, the dryers were insane, so it shrunk a bunch of my shirts, which is a bit of an issue, but we got over it. It's okay. But for the most part, we had to hang dry. We had to hang dry all of our laundry after we washed it by hand in the sink in our hotel.
We would just set up an apparatus whatever room we were in, that our clothes didn't drip over our beds, and we would have it. We'd rearrange the beds and get the line out and made it work.
You're like nomads.
Oh, dude, do you remember Pilger House?
Pilger House.
Yeah.
Galilee.
In Galilee. It's like
that place was great, but the coffee situation was terrible there. I remember
we had our own coffee situation at that point.
Yeah,
so
we didn't yet. And it was like, we're at this fancy Pilger House and we can't, like, they didn't open the dining room until 10 a.m. for coffee.
So fancy. What are the Germans doing? Because it's a German pilgrimage house.
Right.
That's Pilger House. Yeah.
Well, but I think it was fancy, and Galilee is so beautiful. Like I've been meditating a lot on John 5:6, like the multiplication of the loaves, walking on the water, the bread of life discourse, and just part of the imaginative scene is having been in Galilee, and you're just like, this is heaven. I could see heaven being very much like this place. The water, the greenery, the mountains, the like small cities and villages.
It's beautiful. I
Unbelievable.
remember thinking like, yeah, that's why Jesus spends so much time up here. Like, gee, this is a beautiful place, man. That's where we became friends with Jesus. That for real up there. But in Pilger House, it's like, you're right, this fancy, fancy hotel. And we're only there because the seminary put us up there. And we're there for like a week because we're just bouncing around. And their staff says, well, if you want us to do your laundry, like we can, it'll just be about $1 billion to wash your socks. And we're like, no, thank you. So in this, I don't know like how many stars you would give it, but nice hotel that we were in. And we had it looking like the slums, dude.
Yeah.
So we had like hanging lines of like undies and all outside in the hallways. And they actually came by and they were like, guys, you can't do this. It looks like you live in the slums here, you know?
Right.
It's like, well, if you do our laundry, it will cost $1 billion.
We don't have $1 billion.
You've got us bent over a barrel here, Pilger House. What choice do we have?
Yeah. Come on, man. What are we supposed to do? So we were caught in a bind.
Those were enchanted days, though.
Yeah.
Simpler times. That is cool.
We'll look back on these days and say they're simpler times as well.
I closed we finished up on, don't want to timestamp this, but Tuesday evening, we won't say what the date is, of a couple of nights ago, we finished up our book club at MPH. And so Barron's last chapter in the Eucharist book is just the real presence. And it's so good. Like he just walks through a lot in, 15 pages. But he starts with John 6, and he just does a pretty detailed walkthrough of John 6. And that's actually what I talked about in book club, not trying to make it a lecture, but I just tried to tell him like how beautiful the Sea of Galilee is. Like even to be able and try and picture this of like they're in this place and he's using this like really stark language and people are leaving. And yeah, so I feel like I've kind of been back there just from that meditation from Barron as well.
Yeah.
Did we ever share the morning that we went down for our early morning wake up and coffee and holy hour on the Sea of Galilee? Did we ever talk about that on the cast?
I've never heard you tell the story.
Oh man.
Dang. Was that a part of our 5-day, our silent retreat?
I think it might have been the last morning. It was either the last morning of the retreat or the last morning on the Mount of Beatitudes.
Right. Yeah, I think it was the last morning of the retreat. But we made a plan to go down and watch the sunrise over the Sea of Galilee. And you kind of had to hike down this little pathway. And I was in good ways. I mean, not quite a mile, but...
Whose way? Is it just you, two of you or? Bremer?
Yeah, us two and Father Michael Bremer, ATL priest. And we wanted to see the sunrise on the Sea of Galilee. And so we made one of those portable French presses and brought it down. And, you're hiking down it's still dark out. And actually on the way down, there's one Wichita guy in particular that was like
cave.
Literally hidden in a cave. And he kind of popped out and was like, like, whoa, dude. That's like pretty troll-like thing to do. I don't know.
That's about as troll-like as you can get.
But he was just doing the same thing we were doing.
He wanted to say hello, but he also wanted to make sure we weren't coming for his cave. Like,
hey, somebody, taken. Like, Kurt, we know you.
What do trolls do under the bridge that make you pay a toll? Is that where we get the word toll?
I hope not. I hope there's a better reason.
Yeah, there certainly has to be more history there.
Yeah, it used to be, I got to pay the troll, but then we just like shortened it to toll.
Just toll.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
I got to pay the toll.
That's it.
I think that is it. Now that you mention it, I think that is
That
it.
makes sense linguistically.
Yeah.
That's the only picture that I have printed from our Holy Land pilgrimage. Was you had your disposable camera, and we tried to take a picture of our reflection, like the Sea of Galilee was behind us, and we tried to take a picture of our reflection in the stainless steel French press with the Sea of Galilee behind us. Talk about just Instagram gold if we would have nailed that.
It was gold.
It-
I have that as well.
but it
You're
turned
right.
out to just be a blurry picture of a stainless steel French press.
You printed it out?
Yeah, it's the only one I have. Like, it was amazing.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, all I brought was a disposable camera. And so all of the individual photos that I had, and I journaled every day of like just what we did so that I could remember it. And then each of the days that I took a photo, I would mark photo.
Mm.
And so that I knew which days were corresponded to which photos were taken.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I put it in like a photo album and copied the journal note from the day there.
Oh, that's really cool.
It was a lot of fun. It was good. And so then I would make duplicates of the photos of like friends that I was with and pass them out to them. And but the stainless steel one, it was essentially trying to take a selfie
of
of
a coffee
us.
pot.
But you just can't take a selfie with a disposable camera on the Sea of Galilee. You just can't do that. So that's against the rules. Okay. And so the only way you could do it was reflection off of the stainless steel French press. And it didn't come out like we were expecting.
No, you don't say.
But watching the sun actually rise over the Sea of Galilee, and then I just remember like watching the water kind of stir, and specifically a lot of the birds that would fly over the water in these cool formations, like right.
Oh yeah, they
just
do.
in
They go up
line
and down
right over the water. You're like, what? And you're in that mode where you're disconnected from tech and all that, I'd say, unreality, and you're hyper connected to reality. And it's just like blowing your mind. It was a mega real experience.
Yeah. That does. It makes me desire even more. But that was the fruit of that book club over Baron's Eucharist book.
That's so cool.
And it's kind of how we closed it. There was a really good kind of comment from one of the gals that I think wrapped it up really nicely. But just like, man, friendship with Jesus, like that's it. If you get that, then if you get friendship with Jesus, like, then the sacraments will become like awing and just like utterly perplexing of the gift that they are. But if you don't have friendship with Jesus, then like, I don't know, it just doesn't hit home without it. So just that place, man, of like, yeah, going to the sea and like being there with him, and yeah, like connected to reality in that way. It's awesome.
It's kind of like I think C.S. Lewis says this in Surprised by Joy, but he talks about, like how when we pursue joy for its own sake, we often miss it. But when we pursue God, joy comes as a side effect of pursuing the true good that we're after. And he's like, if you go out into your garden on a fresh morning, trying to feel something like this contemplative spirit, because it's such a nice day or it's such a beautiful setting, 9 times out of 10, you'll feel nothing. But if you go out there to pray and offer your day to the Lord or something to that effect, I can't remember the exact quote, but when you're not aiming at trying to make yourself feel something, instead you just kind of go out with a contemplative openness to reality. In some ways, it doesn't matter where you are. I mean, the Galilee is nice, but you could go there, and if you're a slave to your passions or your phone or whatever, like you'll have all these birds swooping down over the beautiful waters and realize that like the Lord was here with his 12 and the crowds and his mother, and just be like, yeah, who cares? There's no coffee at the Pilga house, like be totally unaware and unopen to the truth. And the other thing I'm thinking is, as you were talking about the Mount of Beatitudes, I remember the church that was there, and it wasn't particularly handsome. Like a lot of the churches in the Holy Land are just like usually modern, ugly things just set on top of historical sites, like the Church of the Annunciation or the church at in Capernaum over Peter's house. Not particularly beautiful, but the Eucharist is there. Like I remember, this is where the Mount of the Beatitudes, where you're supposed to give the Sermon on the Mount. And you could go there, and if you didn't believe in the Eucharist, you'd be like, oh yeah, Jesus walked here. Isn't that cool? This is where he gave that famous speech. Maybe, because who knows, they didn't mark that. But as Catholics, we're like, and the Lord is here today, just as he is in my home parish, just as he is in my Newman Center, in the chapel. Like, I can go here, and part of what makes this place transfigured is not just what happened 2,000 years ago, but right now he's still here, and you guys can go down there and take this coffee kettle selfie, and like it's all real, and an event that is ever present. And the last thing I'll say is, talking to Daniel Siuni, my team director, we drove home together from Michigan the other day from a team offsite. He was telling me about, he's thinking about dumb phone, Wise. Have you heard of the Wise phone? It's like kind of a medium ground, kind of like the light phone between a smartphone and a flip phone. But we were talking just about the attention economy stuff, and he's reading a book called, I think it's The Ruthless Pursuit, or Ruthless, like
Elimination
something of Hurry.
Yeah, it's a
Exactly.
good book.
Yeah. And he said the main thing, like the prime directive, is not anything for freedom, but anything for contemplation, So including like just picking out your outfits in advance, so you don't have to choose what you're going to wear in the morning, so you can spend more time in the morning just open to God or to contemplation. And I think that's what you're saying with the friendship with Jesus thing, is like the Eucharist is there. This is this reality that permeates everything as Catholics, that you can commune with Jesus. You can sit there like a friend next to a friend. You can even receive him into your own self, and like your hearts become one. You are one with him. But you can shrink wrap yourself from grace and from that truth by all these dumb things and things you pay attention to for that you don't really need to. And that's what I was experiencing, and I still experience to this day. The dumb phone surprisingly did not cure me of that original sin. Anyway, it's 7:25.
I gotta go.
Hasta la vista.
Do you have that picture, Mike? I gotta find it.
Yeah, if you have a digital, send it to Megan. She can use it as the cover.
I can take a picture of that.
That's better.
That's even better.
I can do that, and I'll send it to Megan.
All right. See you guys.
Later.
See you guys.